Hello everybody, welcome back to the Poised Chaos channel. Today we're going to discuss how do you get your resume ready and how do you get it to stand out against the competition. If this is your first time to the Poised Chaos channel, welcome. This channel was created in order to build life skills as well as waken that inner voice inside to help you figure out what brings you joy. Now let's get into today's discussion. Now, how are we going to get our resume ready? When you think about it, the average job posting has about 3,000 to maybe 4,000 applicants for each job posting. Think about if you're Amazon, Google, Apple, their job posting probably sees double the numbers. So that means you have to do creative ways not only to stand out with your resume, but also to keep up with this evolving, changing job market. So let's discuss a few things. One, let's talk about what you don't want on your resume. So for you newbies, and what I mean by newbies, people who are just starting to get out into the job market, high school students, college students, who may not have an extensive amount of work history, these are things that are going to be super critical for you. You don't want your GPA on your resume. I know that used to be something of the past and it mattered and it was important, but you don't want that on your resume. Not unless you've graduated at the top of your class, summa cum laude or magna cum laude. Those are the things that you can include on your resume. But if you are just putting your GPA that you got a 3.5, you don't need to include that. Actually, as a person that looks at resumes all the time, I actually don't even factor that into something being something. Because sometimes your GPA, the way I equate it, is that person knows how to sit down and study and maybe be disciplined, but sometimes that doesn't necessarily translate to the job market. You don't want your resume to be past 2 pages. Now, I know it's challenging for folks who have maybe 20 years of against work history, but we'll get into that later of how you can try to do your best to condense your resume to just 2 pages. Most hiring managers know within the first maybe 15 seconds if they're going to make a call to the person's resume that they're looking at. Anything past 2 pages, they're definitely not looking at. Honestly, hiring managers don't even look past the first page, if I'm being truthful. If you haven't gone to my YouTube channel in the past, I actually have talked about resumes. But as I mentioned before, because the job market is ever changing and technology is growing so rapidly, we have to keep up with the times that we're in. So one of the things that you don't want to have on your resume, and this is not something that's new, it's always been, please make sure you scrub your resume for grammatical errors, spelling errors. That's just the price of admission of applying for a job. I personally know that I constantly can make grammatical mistakes as well as spelling errors. So one of the things that I always do, I use this app called Grammarly. Grammarly is a tool that'll help you scrub all of your word that you're typing, and it'll scrub it for grammatical errors and spelling errors. Listen, we're in a fast-paced life, so sometimes we don't want to slow down just to check. We should, but we don't always do that. So why just take the muss and the fuss out of it all and just use the app Grammarly? It's been my best friend. You can install it as an add-in in your emails or anything like that. So when you're always writing something back, you will always have somebody just right there to be able to check your content. Now that we've talked about the things that we don't want on your resume, now let's talk about the things that you do want on your resume. Number 1, make sure that you have a clear and defined objectives. Not only is the objective important, it also summarizes what not only are you looking for in a possible employer, but also you to be able to articulate what you're looking at for a job as well. So number 1, always make sure that you have a strong objectives, not only for the job that you want, but also what you want out of your career. Now, number 2, you want action-oriented bullets. Now, these action-oriented bullets should be under the roles that you have. If you've worked for the same organization for multiple years, you want to show the growth that you've had, the projects that you've worked on, the ROIs, ROI, return on investment, how you scaled, and you want to make sure that they're clear, concise, and clean. So number 2, action-oriented bullets. Now, because we live in a heavy technology age, a paper resume is just not enough. You're also going to need to make sure that your LinkedIn reflects your skill set and your experience. So when you're updating your resume, it's just as critical that you're updating your LinkedIn profile. On your LinkedIn profile, what is one of my favorite tools is that I love that you can create a summary that you can really articulate who you are, the type of person that you are at work, and that's where you can really start to add in certain things. One of the biggest trends that I've seen in resumes or that employers are asking for are hyperlinks to work that you've directly impacted or touched. So for example, if I'm doing a YouTube channel, employers are actually asking for hyperlinks to things like that. Or if you're in marketing, they want to see your marketing skill set out there in the world. Because if you're not displaying your skill set, then they're not going to know if you're the right fit for their job. So that's why it's even more important to make sure that not only are you showcasing yourself on paper, that you're also showcasing yourself out on any type of social media platforms, any type of website, if you have a blog, any of that stuff now is being included because employers want to see your personality. Before, I think that they were looking at this peanut butter spread type approach when they were hiring people. Now they actually want to see someone's personality, and you have the freedom to do that. There's so many different ways that you can do that through LinkedIn, like I said, through if you have a blog, if you have a YouTube channel, all of those things. But before you do put out those hyperlinks, make sure that it's your own work. Make sure that it's not showcasing yourself in a negative way or a negative light. And make sure that you're also, like I mentioned before in your paper, that things are grammatically correct on your LinkedIn profile. And lastly, one of the things that you want to do when you're taking away, if you do nothing else, make sure that you have multiple resumes that reflect the jobs that you're interested in. I've shared this in previous videos, but this is something that's super important. The same resume should not go out to every single job. So for example, I do HR, but there's multiple roles that I can do in HR. So I have a resume that reflects everything I want to do with the growth of an organization from a talent perspective. I have a resume that talks specifically around benefits and compensation if that's the role that I want to go into. So you definitely should have multiple resumes that reflect the level of interest that you have in different types of jobs. Okay, everyone, so let's summarize what we talked about. How are we going to stand out when we're looking for jobs? Now, remember, each job posting gets multiple thousands and thousands of applicants, and you have to make sure that you stand out. And you can do that with your resume as well as your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that things are grammatically correct. Make sure that you have a strong objective that reflects the job that you want and also reflects the experience that you have. Make sure that you have action-oriented bullets that talk specifically around your return on investments in jobs, projects that you scaled, things that you have grown. Also, make sure that your resume is no longer than 2 pages. Remember, hiring managers are not going to look past the first page. We don't want any GPAs on resumes, and we want things to look clean, concise, as well as grammatically and spelling correct. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. I enjoyed our discussion today on how we're gonna get our resume ready. Like I said before, please come back, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share, comment, let's have an open discussion. We are in a heavy competitive job market and we have to do everything that we can to stand out. All right, everyone, I will talk to you soon. Good luck on your job search.